morning, everybody. JB Portillo here with Mayor Flynn.
Hi.
Good morning. Can we do that again in stereo?
Yeah, there you go.
We saw each other pretty recently at the city council meeting. That was an interesting city council meeting.
Yeah.
But let's talk about financials. You're pretty proud of that right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I was just kind of listening to things that went up or came up at city council. But yeah, we had the monthly financial through May 31, and our city sales tax is up 9.4% from last year, and operating revenue is up 7.1% more than last year. That's year to date through the end of May.
Right.
And the operating expenses are $500,000 below budget. So total results so far were a little bit over $1 million better than budget between the revenue and the expense. So we feel pretty good about our position because of that. And it's been going pretty steady all year, really. The county sales tax still is kind of modest, and we think it's still because of rebates. You know, some of the big things they did in Bentonville. There's a way you can get sales tax rebates if you spend a lot of money. And of course, some of the construction in Bentonville was a lot of money. But they were even up a couple percent, the county was.
So you said those totals were through May only?
Yeah.
So we've got lots of time.
Yeah, it's not quite half the year. Yeah. There's always a little bit of a lag, mostly because the sales tax reporting is a little slow.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
a couple of months behind.
Okay, so we've talked about this before, but let's do it again. You've changed your accounting method to a better solution. Why is it a better solution?
Yeah, general accepted accounting principles. It's just considered a more sophisticated accounting. You know, before we were on regulatory accounting, which I kind of like. It's very simple. it's almost like being on just a cash basis. Yeah. And one of our lenders wanted us to go to GAAP, and you know, all the big companies are in GAAP, or even medium-sized companies. And in the city world, only the big sophisticated cities are on GAAP. So
are you big and sophisticated now?
Yeah, we are.
Ooh,
yeah.
All right.
But the first year we changed, it was a lot of work, and this year it still worked, but it was a little bit less. So anyway, we got our GAAP audit completed for 2025. The accounting firm's called Forvis Mazars. We've used them the last few years. And it was a really good audit. It was a clean opinion, and everything was ship-shape. And of course, that's what you're always looking for.
Yes.
And you know, it's kind of interesting. It's a long report, a lot of detail, and it's kind of I almost use the word fun, which most people wouldn't agree with.
But I'm an accountant, so it would be fun. Okay.
So it's kind of fun to go dig into that a little and look into some of the details. There's a lot of detail in there, and you know, about different fine points. But yeah, we're just really happy with our financial situation. And they've always made comments in the past how we were, aside from everything being okay, that we were pretty conservative in the way we do things, which I like. I think it's important to be financially conservative, you know, give people confidence that everything's okay. So.
Absolutely. And you know, Kim does a really good job, I think, when she makes the presentation to the city council of making it simple enough without insulting their intelligence, because not everybody knows how to read a financial statement. Yeah. So I think she does a really good job of like, okay, skip from page, blah, 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 blah. Oh, let's look at this page. Yeah, yeah. This is going to give you all your answers. So, I think she does a great job there. Yeah. I really do.
That is a good idea, because there's a lot of different pages there, and it can get people confused. So.
All right, well, let's talk about the big elephant in the room, the STRs.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, we had something on the ballot there for short-term rentals, and right now we allow 600. And the proposal was pretty modest, actually. It was go to 687 on the theory that was 4%. And I found it really helpful because it's been on for a few months, and it gave us a chance to get feedback from people, regular citizens. And the feedback was pretty overwhelming against it. I mean, people really wanted to just stick with the 600 and not go any higher. And so it's hopeful for me. A lot of times you can't tell exactly what citizens think about something. And as you know, we had a lot of people come speak at the meeting.
That whole courtroom was full.
And it makes a long meeting, of course, because they can all speak 3 minutes. But also, we got a lot of communications, emails and phone calls even before the meeting. So we really got a lot of feedback from people, which was helpful. And, you know, one thing I thought was interesting, I thought there might be more of this. One of the STR owners got up and said, hey, we don't need any, we should stay at 600. She was worried about the competition,
Yeah.
being able to rent hers out.
Yeah.
And I was surprised more of the owners didn't say that. Because really, if you already have one, if you're not planning to expand, you might say, hey, we've got plenty, no need to get bigger.
That's right.
But it's, you know, on the other hand, I am sympathetic to people who want to have an STR maybe, and now they're on a waiting list. But, you know, there's some people signed up for it, and I don't know if they lost interest or what, but we find they're not really using it much. So that some of the planning people, you know, would like those people to drop their license and give somebody a chance, you know, because there's, you know, I think it's an interesting thing. I've had some people say, oh, there's a great business having a short-term rental. And some people have said, no, you know, I'd rather just do long-term rentals. I get somebody in there and then forget about it. It's way less work. You know, I have to clean it every weekend and whatnot. But some people tried it. I was talking to a lady the other day. She said, I found the only way I could make money on their short-term rental is if I clean it myself.
Oh.
So there I am on the weekend cleaning my STR thinking, why am I doing this? I'm retired. I'm supposed to be having fun, right?
Right.
So she stopped doing it because of that.
Yeah.
So
Let me ask you a question. I don't know if this is a hard question. Knowing everything you have to deal with every day, you've probably heard this, so I'm sure you have an answer in there somewhere.
yeah, hopefully.
We have 600 cap right
Yeah.
now, with some potentials, like maybe some of those people could drop off, et cetera, and there is a waiting list. But, you know, if you go out on the, and do a search, if you look at both of the short, what are they called? There's Verbo and
Airbnb. Yeah, and there's some other smaller ones.
I know, but
Yeah.
they list about 700 here
Yeah.
in Bella Vista.
Yeah.
What do you know about that?
Yeah, that's, you know, we've had Granicus looking at, which is a company that looks online and figures out how many there are. And I think it's fairly accurate, but you could see how something could slip through the cracks here or there. I always thought there might be a way for somebody to be under the radar, especially if they didn't use Airbnb or VRBO.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you could kind of have a bunch of people you just have contacts with. But I think it's Granicus is relatively accurate as far as figuring out what's happening, because there's a lot of info. You know, you can tell by the ads and whatnot what's happening.
So what do they say?
So I feel pretty good about it.
They say 600? Or they say closer to 700?
Well, don't forget we have, if you're a live-in short-term rental, you don't count.
Yeah.
So the 600 max, so there is a little more than 600 because of the live-in people. The reason we did that is the live-in people don't cause any problems because there's somebody there. They don't have wild parties. Usually it's somebody trying to help with the mortgage, and they'll have some quiet little couple, you know, come rent a room for the weekend.
Yeah.
And it never seems to cause much. Even the neighbors can't, you know, hardly tell anything. You don't have a million cars parking and all these kind of different issues. So so there are a little more than 600 even by our count, if you count those type of people. The other thing is, you know, sometimes there's some confusion about city limits and things like that. And some things can be listed Bella Vista that really aren't. Maybe it's Bella Vista mailing address, things like that.
Oh, yeah,
So,
you're right.
There's a lot of chances for little differences there. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you another potentially hard question.
Okay?
You scared?
No.
Okay, good. You shouldn't be. You're the mayor. You should have an answer and a solution.
There you go.
All right. You know, there's a lot of talk about code enforcement and the fact of that there probably are more reportable incidents but because they're handled by the police, they're not necessarily documented. I guess where I'm going with that is that if the police go out and they actually, from a short-term rental, get somebody they've caught a drug deal going on, that's not necessarily code enforcement for the house, but the policeman. Tell me about code enforcement and how you feel about our current plan as far as short-term rentals go.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. You're talking about the confluence of the code enforcement and the short-term rentals.
Exactly.
Yeah, because
Having the police do it.
we have had the police do short-term rentals or do code enforcement, I should say, for several years, and actually they're better at documenting because they want all the complaints to go through dispatch, and then there's a record of it. So they actually have better records of code enforcement than we've ever had by far. They're very strict on that as far as keeping the records. I guess the implication of your question is he had mentioned the police chief mentioned he only showed so many short-term rental complaints.
Yeah, 6 or 7 in a year or something.
Yeah, I think one of the things that happens with the code enforcement in general is always an issue in Bella Vista, and it's interesting. I actually had it under the police, and most mayors won't put it under the police because they think it looks too draconian. They think it's too strict. And our police chief's philosophy is trying to gain compliance. So if somebody has something, their lawn's too long or whatever, what he likes to do is go out and say, look, we got a problem here, and get the people to do the right thing and not necessarily cite them the first time.
Yeah.
Get them to do right without that.
Yeah.
But you know, the interesting thing to me, just looking at people in the city, you know, some people are so neat and keep things up so nice. Well, you know, because you were doing Yard of the Month and things like that, and there's some people who are really impressive what they do. Then there's other people who are just naturally a little sloppy about it.
Yeah.
And it actually is a little more sophisticated legal problem than people think. A neighbor might be upset because their neighbor's kind of sloppy. But, you know, there's degrees of things. Some people put a bunch of stuff in their yard, and other people say, well, that doesn't look very good. It's an aesthetic thing, but it's not technically against any rule. You know, we all have kind of like certain rights under national law, really, under the Constitution. So you can be a pretty annoying neighbor and pretty sloppy, and it's really tough for the city to get you to be. If you're a little irregular, it's hard to make people regular. It becomes an ongoing challenge, you know.
And like you said, that neighbor that, I don't know if this is true or not, but that neighbor that turns somebody in might be so picky that your little yard art is 3 feet off of where it should be. I mean, you know, there are two sides to that.
Yeah, some people are very complaint-oriented, and on the other hand, some neighbors are. But I noticed there's constantly kind of a yin and a yang in the code enforcement area in general.
So you feel like, in our case, that code enforcement is in its right place in the police department? Or could there be some review of that and looking at it later to, you know, there's talk about this. You see?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I do.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not unhappy with it being where it is. It's a matter of doing it in a way that's best for everybody in the community. Yeah, there's issues related to it, and there's no question about that.
Yeah.
So, well, the other day I was talking to a citizen, and they said, you know, I shouldn't have to call the police and complain. They should just see things and fix them. Well, the trouble with that is, and they mention this street, at the end of their street, sometimes the first person parks too many cars around. Maybe it's having a party or something. Well, this was a pretty obscure street, and we have like, what, 45 square miles? You know, the idea you're just, ACC doesn't do that either, drive around all the time.
No, I mean,
Because
you'd
it's
have to
just too
have a
much.
whole fleet of people
Yeah.
just, you know.
And you wouldn't say, it's funny, I have people complain to me about code enforcement's not strict enough. And literally in the same sentence or the very next sentence, they say, yeah, and one time I had a problem. I was parking on the gravel and they got onto me. So they actually complained both sides of the issue in the
In
same
one sentence,
conversation.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Hey, let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. Two more things about short-term rentals, and then we'll go on to something else, okay? The vote.
Oh, yeah. We had 600 was the limit, and the proposal was to go to 687. And I actually gave a short speech saying that I felt people were wanting it to stay at 600. Anyway, the vote ended up one person for and 4 against, so they kept it at 600.
Okay,
So,
good. All
yeah.
right. So for now, two other quick little things. Do you ever see it going down from 600? Just a thought.
It's conceivable. I did have one citizen bring that up to me, that it could conceivably go down. So,
Another
I mean,
thought.
you can make the rules whatever you like.
You can.
I did ask him, I said, will that be a little bit of a challenge? I mean, were you going to tell 100 people, well, you don't have one anymore? And he was thinking was more, well, no, you just, as people.
Drop off.
Yeah.
But somebody else brought up something that I thought was a really good idea. I don't know if it's usable or you could even do it. But the lady that said, maybe you could have certain parts of the city zoned for a collection of short-term rentals. I don't know if that's exactly how she said it.
Yeah, she had mentioned somewhere she was familiar with, they had done that. Speaking of the zoning, you know, this whole thing with the limit in short-term rentals and whatnot, they don't count if they're in a commercial zone.
Right.
So you could put one in a commercial zone
Good point.
anytime you like.
Good point.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
All right. All right. So some other things that came up were the orientation, continued education. That's going to third reading for the end of the month.
Yeah, and that was just orientation, well, and continuing ed for the elected officials. Yeah. The thing they suggested everyone's not doing that, but several people are doing that. I've always done it. I mean, it's like 6 hours a year, and if you go to municipal league, you end up getting that kind of thing. And now they have more and more courses online,
Yes.
which is pretty good.
Yes. So you think it's a good idea?
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
So,
But
I think some of the people on council kind of objected a little that, you know, it's kind of like making it a requirement when, you know, we
so
should
why
do
did you
that
run
on
for
our
office
own.
if you
So,
didn't want to
yeah.
learn how to do your job?
Yeah.
And I probably
So-
shouldn't be saying that, but anyway. Okay. So anyway, that's coming up for a vote, right?
Yeah.
All right. There was something else about density for the planning for the STRs.
Yeah, it was a proposal that they be, that if you have an STR, there won't be another one for 200 feet. And the idea was that, with that, was say you live on the lake, and for an example, you know, they were worried about people having one right next door to them on both sides, things like that, to try to make it so they're not all clustered together. But that was the idea of it. The other place there's a lot of short-term rentals is in the townhomes.
Yes.
Because, see, you don't have the problem with cutting the lawn and that kind of thing, so it lends itself to that.
Do that better.
So-
So that's going back to the Planning Commission for
Yeah.
review.
But in fairness to short-term rentals, I do have to say they are good for the economy, and also they have made the housing stock better. Particularly, it's notable with the townhouses. You know, if you have paint peeling and all these things, you're not going to get rentals. So people are very conscious of their rating, so they try to keep the place up. So there are some pluses to it. It's a mixed bag, definitely.
So let's do a what if. What if, and hopefully someday, we actually get some hotels or smaller boutique type places.
Yeah.
What's that going to do?
Oh, yeah.
in your mind?
I think that most likely will happen. And, you know, I think those things coexist. You know, some people like hotels, some people like short-term rentals. Kind of depends your group or how big it is. So I think there's a place for both of them, really. but it would certainly help. You know, one of the problems is you make a limit on short-term rentals, and then people who are coming to stay are going to stay in Bentonville,
Yeah.
for example.
At the
And then
short-term
maybe
rentals.
maybe you lose restaurant and grocery and different kind of.
So did I hear in
opportunities.
there somewhere that you think someday, sooner than later, we might actually get some hotels?
No, I believe we will. Yeah,
Yeah, good. That would be nice.
yeah.
Solid waste contract. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that was kind of a big thing, actually, to me at least. The contract was coming up for renewal, and there's a lot of different ways you can do this. And what we did is we did a relatively short contract extension. It's a 3-year extension. But for the first time, we got the Republic Services to be willing to try the curbside recycling.
Again.
And one thing I like about it is it's optional. So it is $6.50 a month, but it's your option whether you want to do it or not. So you can use our recycling center, you can use the curbside, you can do both, you can do neither. So to me, it's great from the personal freedom point of view.
Yeah.
And they also agreed the first year to freeze the rates. Usually the rates go up by the Consumer Price Index. So it'll be the same rate next year as it is this year, which I thought was good. But it barely passed. It was 4-3, and different people on council, you know, had different reasons for that. Some of them thought the recycling wasn't often enough, which I don't necessarily disagree with, but it's $6.50 a month, and to get it more often, it would be $12.50 a month. And we need to get 1,250 people. And I was concerned if the price gets too high, we wouldn't get enough people. You know what I mean? So I wanted to, at least at the start, keep it reasonable. But it's a way to dip our toe in the water of curbside recycling and see how, you know, some people care deeply about that, and others are completely uncaring about it.
It's now a lot of us are. I love the recycled center, ours. I love that. I mean, I have
Yeah.
sorting bins in my garage, the whole thing, you know,
Yeah.
and I like that because they take most everything. But people that are moving in and they're used to having their recycle picked up at the curb, those are a lot of the people that might sign up for this.
Yeah.
Because they're used to that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah,
But
and
there's
they-
no sorting, and you know.
Yeah, they bring that up a lot. People who've moved here from somewhere else go, "What? Where I came from, we had curbside recycling. It was so convenient, you know." So I
That's
wanted to
right.
give them the chance to have it at least,
That's
if
right.
they like.
Well, then, yeah. I mean, options, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so county issue. What is this? This county
This is
issue.
actually a big deal. And actually, the meeting is 2 p.m. today.
Uh-oh.
The county, a few years ago, I don't know if you recall, they had something on the ballot about the county jail.
Yes,
which
and it
badly
failed.
needs to be expanded, and it failed. So they've been trying to get the money since then, and the Quorum Court, which is the county legislative, recently made a proposal. And the essence of the proposal is that they'd get the money from the cities. They would change how, you know, right now we get a county sales tax, and it's divvied up among the cities by population. Bella Vista gets about 10% of it, and the county gets about 15%. But from the county's point of view, one of the things that's happened that's bad is their percentages has constantly gone down. It used to be like 30-35%. As cities annex land, see, they become part of cities.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the big things that really hit them hard is when we became a city.
Yes.
See, they were getting that's a big chunk, the Bella Vista chunk. They lost that all at once in 2007. It's starting to catch up with them. So, but the bottom line is, this is their proposal. They want to have something on the ballot in November 3, this fall. And I calculated it would cost Bella Vista $400,000 to $500,000, something in that range.
Oh, my.
Yeah, it takes some pretty. What they're doing is the county gets 15.7% right now of the tax, and they want to say, we'll get 20%, and you guys can split up the other 80. So it took some pretty fancy math for me to figure out how much this was costing us. but it looks to me like it would be in that range. So, and that's pretty significant, you know, to walk up to somebody in their budget and say, okay, now you're going to get $500,000 less next year. You know,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Our budget is general funds around 25 million. So 500 grand is, you know, that's real money. Now in places like Rogers and Bentonville, it's more because they're bigger. So
They may fight that too.
yeah.
I got
But
you.
it may just be that it's going to be presented to the voters, and it wouldn't increase their taxes. The voters, just a matter of where
The allocation.
where your tax goes.
Yeah.
So it's tricky. You know, on the one hand, I'm sympathetic to them. They have a problem and they need to find a solution. But on the other hand, you hate to have a cut in your budget like that. And I think there's other options they conceivably could look at.
Yeah.
For instance, you could charge, right now they charge every city something, but you could charge every city per prisoner.
Yeah.
Well, you have 30 people from Bella Vista times X dollars. I guess this is what you owe. You know, you could.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and that would motivate us to not raise prisoners in our cities.
Thank you. Yeah. No more
you
prisoners.
guys all be good and save us money.
That's right. Okay, so let's talk. We just have a few minutes left, so let's talk about RDOT and the bridge quickly.
Oh yeah, that was really good news. You know, that our street department has been trying to get a grant for the bridge on Cullen Hills Drive. It's over there by Scottsdale. One of the cool things I didn't know this before I became mayor is the RDOT goes around and looks at all your bridges and then gives you a report without warning. You get an email saying, hey, this bridge needs work and that bridge needs work, which is great because we don't necessarily have the expertise, and it's good if somebody brings up, hey, your bridge is falling apart, buddy, you better do something about it, right? So anyway, the streets went for a grant last year, didn't get it, but we found that if you keep trying, a lot of times it works out. And this year we got notice that we were good, and it's 90% federal and 10% us, so it's a pretty good percentage. We don't even know any of the numbers yet. We just got the letter recently that, hey, we're going to cover this. So that's really good news because that bridge does need some work. And yeah.
Okay, we just have a couple of minutes. Let's just talk about some things that are coming up. Let's kind of just go down there really quickly. What's happening?
Well, August 10 is Planning Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals, as you know. That's their regular meeting. There's a band concert on August 11 at 7 p.m. at Blowing Springs. They're having them every couple of weeks.
At the
Gear Garden. Now, last one they had indoors at Community Church because it was so warm. So I don't know if that will happen again. It's still going to be pretty warm from what I've heard for a while.
Yes.
Let's see. Well, the animal shelter has their big yard sale at the History Museum August 15 to 22.
Yep.
You know, that's such an improvement. They moved it there last year, and it used to be on Trafalgar.
Yes.
And people said, well, that it was a little dangerous. Cars would be parked on the side of the road. And well, plus the History Museum's on that main road, and you get a lot of drive-by. So
It's
I
a
guess they
nice
even
collaboration.
Did better. It's nice to see different charities work together. So it's kind of neat that way.
Right.
And of course, I know you always like to mention City Council, and it's August 17 work session, August 24 is regular meeting. And let's see, August 20.
This is big.
Yeah.
This is big.
The building department is having a get-to-know open house, and it's for builders, but it's also for just the general public.
This is the second one they've done.
Yeah. So you can come and ask questions, and I do think it's good to really have as good communication as you can, you know, with the builders. And then, of course, August 29, Saturday, is the newcomers meeting. Everybody really likes those.
Yeah.
So it's got to be a big deal.
Do you know what? We've done it again.
Yeah, went over.
Not really. We just have, a little bit. Anyway, we have just enough time to say goodbye.
Okay.
And that we'll see you again next month. Come to the meetings. Let's fill that courtroom up again. Right?
Okay. If you say so.
See you later.
Thank you.